We are all set, Captain. You are ready to go.
Brother lads, welcome back to the Cossy Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to brand a new video. This is the latest Arsenal news and transfer news as well. We are back with Glenn for the Cossy and Glenn podcast. Now, Bakali Sanya, former Arsenal player, thinks that Marcus Rashford would make Arsenal attack world class if we added him this summer. We're going to be diving into the thoughts of Bakali Sanya. Would really Marcus Rashford make us world class? Is it a player that Arsenal are lacking and missing on that forward line? Also, we'll be discussing the emergence of stories that Amadou Onana, Arsenal have actually gone into talks with Everton just to ask about whether he's available, and Arsenal are very much interested in the player. Ethan Nwaneri is the replacement of ESR at Arsenal. Is that the right move that Arsenal should be actually going for? Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel as well. Glenn, welcome back. How was your day? And of course, Bakali Sanya thinks that we should be going for Marcus Rashford if we want world class.
My day was absolutely incredible. I'm absolutely good. We're getting close to the transfer window. We are now just almost 8 days away. So we're getting close. It's going to be even more exciting, man, next week. So I'm doing good. I hope you guys are enjoying the podcast as always. Bakari Sanya, we're going to dive deep into what he said. Rashford is a player he's been quiet recently, but he's back in the news once again. So he'll be giving guys our thoughts on that and a lot more as always.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, for me, Bakali Sanya, I respect him because he's been at this Arsenal team before, and he's been a part of that Arsenal team that went a long time, and we've watched we watched as kids as we were growing up. So I wouldn't really want to disrespect him. But him coming out to say that Marcus Rashford would make Arsenal world class, given the talent we have at the moment, that is an absolute joke, especially in the same week that Madrid have added Mbappe to Rodrigo and Vinicius Jr. and Jude Bellingham. Are you kidding me? Like, when you look at that, do you compare that to, Martinelli, Rashford, and Saka? Do you really think that Marcus Rashford is the missing piece to make Arsenal world class? I think Bakali Sanya is having a laugh. I think he's joking. So for me, what I would say is Rashford can be a player that Arsenal improved. Rashford can be a player that Arsenal turn around in terms of his career, but in terms of world class, it's Real Madrid's attack that we are actually looking to build. We are looking to emulate Mbappe, Rodrigo, Jude Bellingham in the same team, and probably Brahim Diaz being there at Real Madrid. So for me, he's wide of the mark, and his opinions, I don't really think that was spot on, honestly. Not one. I wouldn't say one of the worst football takes. I don't think that is qualifying as one of the worst football takes. But in terms of world class, to make our team world class, I don't think he's world class himself, Marcus Rashford. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think that's what you're missing to become a world-class team. Now, let me make one thing clear from the beginning. I don't think Rashford is a bad player. I think Rashford is a really good player. I think in terms of, if he cuts into his right foot, he's going to bang it in. He's going to put the defenders under pressure. I've always made it clear that every time we face Man United and we're up, Rashford is playing, I'm always like, this guy is going to give us a hard time on that left wing. We need to worry about him. If they get a chance to counter-attack, the pace is there. The experience is there in terms of Premier League experience. So all that. He's an international player. He's gone to Euro finals. He's gone to World Cup semi-finals. He's played among some really, really good players. So he's been there. I really do think he's a good player. There's a couple of issues, obviously. You're going to talk about that one as well. In terms of making us world class, Saka is a really good player. Odegaard is a really good player. Martinelli is a really good player. But you need something even extra. Now, Saka and Rashford have been compared a lot the last 4 or 5 years. I still think Saka is the better player. Maybe in terms of goal scoring, maybe Rashford is the better goal scorer. But if you're talking about world class and taking us to the next level, I'm looking at players like Leao and Kvaratskhelia, players on a different level. Like, they've been doing it, and then the goals and assists in different countries, and attitude is okay and all that. Now, for Rashford, there's obviously some obvious deficiencies. You don't just need to score goals and do all that. Now, it could be a case of attitude, but in terms of even just, some could say he only has one or two styles. If he has someone else like a Walker marking him. Maybe he won't have a good game if someone is quicker than him. Does he have any other ways of playing? Is he going to go to his left foot and cross the ball? Is he going to keep the ball better? How good is his hold up play and all that? And in terms of defending as well, is not the best. That could be something in terms of attitude, but the way we play, Saka comes back and defends a lot. Martinelli comes back and defends a lot. Trossard, Havertz. I don't think they would want to have someone like a Rashford just sitting up front there and just waiting for the ball. I don't think that would benefit anyone. So that is already a deficiency in our team. That would probably make us worse defensively. In terms of scoring more goals, I think he probably scores. At least he'd be in the range where we are in terms of getting a player who's having 13, 14 goals and having 4 or 5 players who are getting that. He'd probably be on the list too. He's going to improve.
That is the word, probably. That is the word, probably. Like when Sanya talks about he will make them world class, right? If you added William Saliba to any defense right now, you could argue that he makes them world class. You could argue that he massively improves any defense that he goes to. When you say probably with Marcus Rashford, there is an element of doubt. I don't think you're signing a world-class player. With Kylian Mbappe, are you saying probably makes them, or are you actually saying Kylian Mbappe will make them world-class?
Yeah, he'll definitely make us world-class in Mbappe. So Rashford has some deficiencies in his game. And I think, I don't know if it's because of the team, what he's gone through in the last couple of years. It doesn't seem comfortable there. It seems like there's a lot of aspects of his game that have dropped off. I don't know if he's going to improve. And he's a bit older now. Is he like 26, 27?
26, 27.
I mean, that's a bit older, more than the likes of Saka and the Martinellis of this world. So he's approaching where he should be at his prime right now. So he doesn't have time to. Rashford is a youngster still, like we were saying about who's the player, Dele Alli is still a youngster, and there's another one I always forget. We always say is a youngster. It disappeared, but I think he's a Man United player. When you talk about players for 5, 6 years and you think, this player is still a youngster, not really.
Even when you think about the likes of Odegaard and Kai, who have been given a chance by Mikel Arteta, they're 23, 24. They can afford to mess up for 2 years until they're 26, and then they take off.
Yeah, the player I was looking for is Lingard. That's the guy, Before you look at it, he's already 28, 29, and, time has passed him. Now, will Rashford still give us, more energy, more pace, maybe even more shots, more, chances created? Yes, he will give us that. But there's a lot of factors that come in. When you talk about a world-class player, you have to have a lot of abilities, and a player like Mbappe will bring that to you. Even if you're to ask me, someone like a fit Dembele, I think it'd be like a toss of a coin. I'd be like, you know what, I maybe even don't even mind Dembele in terms of that. Now, if Rashford could play the centre forward position very well, he can, but not to the levels. If he could and can also play on the left side, yeah, he's really good. But Man United fans will tell, Garnacho is now ahead of him. They don't really miss him and all that. But for me, whenever we play Man United, is the player that I look at. And I don't think he'll make us world-class. He'll probably make us slightly better, but I look at a lot of things. Attitude. Are you going to defend? Are you going to, be selfish? Are you going to score more goals than Martinelli and Saka and Trossard? Those ones now, probably.
There's so many things that for me I'm concerned with Marcus Rashford. The first thing is consistency, and I think I was watching the kickoff when someone made a very good point that the problem with Marcus Rashford is he will score 14 goals this season, 7 the next season, 72 goals next season, 2 the next season. That's the problem with him, and that is something that you might be able to coach into a player maybe, but also. We've seen players like Bruno Fernandes come at Manchester United at a time when Man United have been at their worst. And Bruno Fernandes, for me, has been one of the best players in the last 5 years in the Premier League, creating chances, creating goal-scoring opportunities, and appearing when Man United need him, hence why he's captain at the moment. So when it comes to Marcus Rashford, he's not been able to stand up. Whether that's because of the attitude, maybe he's disconnected from the club, Man United fans could tell us. I just don't see him as the player that Arsenal really need. We've talked about this on Glenn's channel today. So make sure you check out the podcast. His link is in the title. When we're talking about Amadou Onana, and I said Amadou Onana is surplus to requirement. At the moment, he's not a pressing need. He's not a pressing transfer. I would say the same with Marcus Rashford. I don't see why anyone out there, and this is a spin that has been done by the media. Many people say, Marcus Rashford to Arsenal, this is dangerous, this is good. How dangerous is it? If it is dangerous, if it is good, how about about we build around Marcus Rashford at Man United. Thank you very much. We would be very happy to see a utopia, a dystopia, a dynasty at Manchester United built around Marcus Rashford. But you saying that Arsenal built a project that could actually turn into a menace for Premier League and European teams, and therefore Marcus Rashford should join. I don't think he's done the work. I don't think he's put in the hard work to warranty a team and a project like Arsenal at the moment. So, Glenn, I'm not going to ask you what you consider as world class, but what would you say are the requirements that are lacking in this Arsenal team to make us world class at the moment?
In terms of the overall team or just the forward line?
In terms of the overall, if you were to add players that you say one or two or maybe three that make us world class, what would be those qualities?
More winners, people who've won big competitions before, Champions Leagues, Premier Leagues, like maybe Rodrigo, even a World Club.
Rodrigo maybe at Madrid.
Yeah, very young. He's won 2 Champions League titles, a Super Cup, a Club World Cup, a La Liga. Very young. We can probably add a Copa America very, very soon. Someone like that. So more in terms of winners, more experience for sure. I don't think it's very rare to find an 18-year-old world-class player. I think it's very rare. It's usually like he has played for a few years at the top level. Players even like Van Persie struggled to get to a world-class level even after scoring goals. It took him all the way to like 2011 for Paul to say,
he was only at Van Persie was at world-class for like 2-3 years.
Yeah, composure, calmness, all of those things you have to look at. It's very, as people say, if you ask someone that question of what makes someone world class, if you ask 100 people, you'll get 100 different answers. Someone will tell you, a player who can score 60 goals. Someone will tell you a player who can keep 10 clean sheets in a row. Someone will tell you a player like Zidane. So you can get different answers. But if you're to ask me who's the closest player to world class at Arsenal right now, I'd probably say Odegaard because, he can take the ball and take the game by the scruff of the neck and do it all by himself. He can say, give me the ball. He's very composed. He can create chances for you from nothing. A player who can, for example, a striker who's world class, a player who can, score a goal from nothing. You've done nothing the whole game. They get one chance, they score from 8. They create a chance for themselves. I think Odegaard is very good in terms of that, creating chances for us, taking the game, controlling the game for us. And to the point where if you're not there, your team struggles. That kind of shows that, you're a really world class player. Like Odegaard is not there. We kind of try struggle. So you need a player who can do a lot of different things. And there's something that you said in one of the videos that you did, and I was like, yeah, this is an incredible quote. Something about a player who can do a lot of things well, or something like that, and then a few things. I think you said something like you have a player who can do everything just a bit well in each one of them, but doesn't really have a standout factor that he does incredibly well. You don't really want a player like that. So if you have a player who has like out of 10 aspects, he has 9 of them, and they're all above average, and all of them are like 9 out of 10. I think that is the closest to world class. And Odegaard, I tell you, creativity is there, ball progression is there, the pressing is there, the technique is there, ability is there. Maybe the goal scoring, when he scored 15 goals, I was like, if he had scored 15 goals again, I would have been like, this guy is now approaching that completely, like in terms of world class level. But there's obviously a couple of things missing. But Rashford is definitely not close to world class. I think players like De Bruyne are world class. You've seen them doing for a lot of years, and they can open up teams by themselves. Even if they're losing, they can change the game. All that in terms of world class players.
I mean, we're losing Mohamed El Neni. Marcus Rashford could be our new Mohamed El Neni because he does score the worldies once in a while. Did hit one against Manchester City this season. That really hit like very, like well packed crack, but didn't end in anything. So for me, what I would say, what Arsenal need to add in terms of making the project world class, experience, consistency, and exceptional. Exceptional. Those are the 3 things that I would want to say. In terms of exceptional, I want players that can go and do things like Eden Hazard used to do them, like Luka Modric, does them for Madrid, like, Iniesta could do it at FC Barcelona, Messi could do it at FC Barcelona. This Arsenal team, we can all agree that on your bad day, Arsenal is the worst nightmare that you could ever find on the road at night. Like we are a real nightmare. We keep the ball very well. We win it quickly. We transition very quickly, and we create a lot of chances. However, on Arsenal's bad day, when we cannot unlock a defense, when we cannot, put us, passes as quickly as we want together, we are the easiest toothless lion that you that can you just walk around it. It's your mascot. You just walk around it. And Bayern can testify. We've played in the. I tell you, those 180 minutes. If someone told me to break them down very well, I'm like, there's some minutes where I really like information. Like, what were we doing during this time?
I think there was a lot of nerves in that game. We've never been that stage. This guy's first time playing that. You said something about consistency. That's very important. World-class players have done it for 7-8 years in a row. The likes of De Bruyne, and if you look at Messi and Ronaldo, 20 years in a row, 30 plus goals every single season, different countries, different teams, different opponents, different managers, and you still do it. No matter the manager, no matter the players you're playing around, you make players better as well. All those factors come into place in terms of world-class players. So you're right.
So talk to me, guys, in the comment box below. Is Marcus Rashford world class? That's the first question. Secondly, would he make Arsenal world class? I mean, would he actually add qualities that would make us world class? And what do you consider as world class? Who is world class at Arsenal right now? I want your thoughts and opinions in the comment box below as we, as we move on. Now, Glenn, I'm doing just a quick fire here. Marcus Rashford, how do you compare him in terms of these wingers? Who would you take at Arsenal? Marcus Rashford, Rafinha at Barcelona.
I'd take Rashford.
You take Rashford over Rafinha. I would take Rashford over Rafinha as well, because I've looked at him at Barcelona. I've given him some time, and I'm like, yeah. So maybe Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford ex Bowen.
That's a good one. In terms of dream signings, if it wasn't realistic, I'd have Bowen in my top 3. I really like him. So from that, I'd go for Bowen, actually. He can play the winger position really well. He can play the centre forward. He can score, all that. I'd pick Bowen from that. Consistency as well. We've seen it for 2 seasons at least in a row.
Okay. Marcus Rashford versus Mitoma.
I'd go for Rashford. I think he would be more consistent than Mitoma. Injury issues as well. Quality, Mitoma is a really good player. But I think there's a lot of flashes there. I don't think you can see Mitoma doing it 5 games in a row. At least for Rashford, I can see him doing it 5 games in a row. But Mitoma, not really. But Mitoma is a really exciting player. Like, if he stays fit, he'll go to our levels.
Yeah. Marcus Rashford or Anthony Gordon?
That's a good one. I think Gordon is a little bit still raw, but in terms of what I've seen this season, Gordon has been incredible, absolutely incredible. The goal return, the assist. If I was picking the England squad, he would 100% be there. I wouldn't pick Rashford for this one. I would 100% pick Gordon. Which one would I pick between the two? Because I've seen Gordon doing it for 1 season, I'm going to go for Rashford because I've seen him doing for more. But if Gordon was there for 3 seasons, I'd probably go for Gordon, but Rashford.
Then Rafael Leao and Marcus Rashford.
You should have stopped it at Leao. That's the answer. Leao is incredible. Like, I see him putting fear on defenders. Like, when he's there, I think, is it Portugal or the last game for AC Milan? There's one game I watched him and he came off the bench and the defenders were shaking. Like, he just made a difference right away. That's the kind of player who can, you can be trading 0-0. And you're looking for someone to spark something, he can just go and do something by himself. He'll try to create a chance or score a goal. He's done it at AC Milan, he's done it for Portugal. If you hear Ronaldo talking about him, he's an exciting player. That's a player like I would 100% want to take. Wherever he's going to end up after AC Milan, I think he's going to rock it up. Hopefully it doesn't end up like at a Man United or a Chelsea, someone like that. Or Man City, that would be a nightmare. That would be a nightmare, having Haaland and that guy, and then you still have the likes of Foden. 100% Leao. And Doku as well. Leao is incredible. Pace, power, the goal scoring ability, assists. You want a player who's going to, like Saka, doesn't always play well, but the returns are there. I think Leao is kind of similar, but he might even play well more games. So Leao for sure. And
then him and Rashford and Rodrigo.
It's going to be Rodrigo. Younger, has won a lot of things in Real Madrid as well. Consistent. He can play left side. He can play right side as well. He can come off the bench and make an impact. He can start and make an impact. You've seen him scoring big goals. Rashford has scored big goals, but Rodrigo, Champions League against Chelsea, against, I think, Liverpool. He's entered the top stage as well, Rodrigo. And Younger, very exciting. In terms of future, Rashford, you would say, after 3 years, you're not really sure where he's going to be. Is he going to have gone to Saudi Arabia, or is he going to be? You never know. But for Rodrigo, I'll tell you for sure, like the next 3-5 years is going to be at the top level. So I'd go for Rodrigo. Rashford has been playing for longer, but if you're to ask me who's closer to the Ballon d'Or right now, I'd probably say Rodrigo ahead of Rashford.
So, guys, talk to me in the comment box below. Which wingers do you think Arsenal should focus on aside Marcus Rashford, who is not a very popular player in the fan base, but of course that doesn't make him a bad player. We've always said on this podcast that there is talent in there, but probably since we have already tested the likes of Sylvester and Welbeck from Manchester United, we are not doing any business right now. Let's move over to the midfield. Today, Arsenal have been reportedly in talks with Everton to inquire about the availability of midfielder Amadou Onana. Could play as an 8, could play as a 6. Very, very young, 22 years of age, Belgium. We will see him at the Euros, and we will definitely get a bigger picture when he's playing around quality. Trossard, a couple of other good players there in that Belgian side, the likes of Openda. Now, when it comes to Amadou Onana, I get confused, right? But we have a clarification that Arsenal are looking at someone versatile to allow Mikel Arteta tactical flexibility. Someone who could play as a 6 and someone could play as an 8 as well. Do you see Amadou Onana, 22 years of age, as a player who can develop into your next all-round midfielder at Arsenal?
He could. You never know. His development could be there. But in terms of like right now, come and start for us, I'm not sure, man. Especially if you tell me right now that, okay, we are selling Partey and Onana is the guy we are bringing in. I'd be like, why? The way Xhaka left and then Havertz came in and people are like, I gave Havertz a chance, but the people are like, nah, you can't sell Xhaka and bring in Havertz. This does not work. Rice came in and you feel like, okay, now you're bringing something here. Now for Onana, he has these qualities, but in terms of coming to directly replace Partey, no. If he was coming in and Partey was staying and Partey was playing 5 games and then you rest him and then you play Onana twice and then Partey is back and then Onana to mix it up here and then Onana comes off the bench, I'd be like, yeah, bring him. That's another physical body in the midfield. That's another Premier League experienced player, another player who plays for internationally for Belgium. You can come in and play for us in that position, but not depend on you from match day 1 to match day 38 like we did for Saliba, match day 1 to match day 38. I wouldn't really be confident in terms of that. Now, will he bring qualities to us? Yeah, his ball carrying abilities are incredible. Like if you have both Rice and Onana in the same team, the opposition team will be scared. Like both of them can pick up the ball and just run with it and drift with it like past 5-6 players and get us to the other position box, which is a great quality to have when you don't really have to pass long passes and all that. If you just have someone who can run with the ball, you get to the other side quicker. Absolutely perfect. He will bring that. He'll bring that Premier League experience. You probably see him making a tackle, one tackle, and you're like, wow, this guy. Or you body checks are playing, you'll be like, yeah, this is what we need. Or he can even make one pass, and you're like, yes. But consistency is the problem. For me, midfield, that position is the most important position on the pitch. If you don't have a good player there, you're going to suffer. We played Lokonga there for around 6 months and there's nothing that we could have done. Partey was not there. Xhaka was suspended for a couple of games. We didn't really like Xhaka as a number 6 anyway. And I think we put too much pressure on Lokonga. Not his fault, not Arteta's fault. We didn't really have anyone else to play there. But I actually felt sorry for Lokonga. You have to have a lot of ability to play in that position. You have to be.
It's too demanding, really demanding.
You have to show your defenders and your goalkeeper that, listen, give me the ball. Don't be scared. Give me the ball. But you have someone like a Lokonga there.
Trust you as well. Like they,
trust you.
Not physical, but they trust him with the ball more than they would trust, a player like Lokonga, who is a little bit physical and taller and yeah.
If I was playing in that Arsenal team and I'm a defender, I'm a little bit scared to have the ball and Jorginho is in front of me, I'll be like, oh, thank goodness. I'll give Jorginho the ball because I know, he'll do something for me. But if it was someone like a Lokonga in that position 2-3 years ago, I'm like, oh, I'm not sure, because you don't want to give the player the ball and then it's calamity and then it's not calm and composed and then the attack is closer to you and then you're in big trouble. So Onana will probably do 1-2 games where you're like, yeah, he's looking good, but do I trust him when he's being pressed by De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva in that midfield? Just take charge, remain calm, make the right decision, know when to pass the ball, know when to return the ball to the goalkeeper, know when to keep the ball for a couple of seconds, know when your team is under pressure and you've been given the ball to take a bit of pressure from the rest of the team, know when you've been given the ball to progress it more quicker when you're trying to counter attack, turn, hit the pass the left side to the right side. I don't think he'd be able to do that in terms of depending on him. Partey can do that a lot of times. He can give him the ball. Sometimes Partey gets the ball and I expect him to return the ball to the goalkeeper or, try and pass the ball to Ben White. And then he just turns and then he's off. I'm like, wow, how did he see that space? And he's off.
That is the reason why this season we've not seen Declan Rice in that number 6 a lot of the time. Most people think that because Mikel Arteta has found him as a better 8. Yes, he's found him as a better 8. But remember there's a time when he played there. But because Partey and Jorginho, all of them, when they get that ball, their first thought is, how do I, turn and face the opposition goal? As compared to Declan Rice, who, plays it a little bit back. That is the one thing that Partey and Jorginho have, and that's one thing that I don't think Amadou Onana would bring in, at Arsenal right now.
You have to have some outstanding qualities for me to trust you there. If you're not the best in terms of defending, you'll really have to be giving me, quick progressive passes, long passes that are leading to goals and, composure on the ball. But maybe if you're not the best in terms of defending, but you can control the ball and help us manage the game when you're 1-0 up and all that, then I can be able to trust you. Or if you're not the best in terms of attacking, because someone like N'Golo Conte was not good in terms of going forward and scoring goals and assisting consistently, but you knew when the ball comes there, he's going to get it. So even if you're missing something attacking,
N'Golo Conte must have got army training somewhere.
So, I watched him for France yesterday. He looks still very, very good. So even if you're an attacking team, you just want every single player to be an attacker, and you have someone like Akante, you're like, you know what, we can sacrifice that position because he's doing so much for us in midfield. He's intercepting the ball, he's making the tackles, he's giving our forward players the chance to create chance after chance after chance. Yes, I don't think Onana stands out in any of that. Now he's perfectly fits to what you said a few weeks ago. He has a little bit of everything, but in not one position that is completely stand out. Yes, maybe a little bit of ball carrying. Yes, you can maybe a few tackles here and there, a few interceptions, a bit of composure, a bit of calmness, maybe consistency, maybe not too injured. But in terms of standout things like Declan Rice, set piece ability is incredible. You can say the ball carrying ability is incredible. The interception from Declan Rice is just second to none. Absolutely fantastic. You can say Partey, composure in midfield, the passing, Jorginho the same. You can go to even which other team? You can say a Rodri, outstanding in a lot of abilities. Busquets back in the day, Vieira, Roy Keane. You could say all of these players. I don't think Onana completely stands out. Would I still take him at Arsenal? Yes, but not as a starter. If it was coming to back up Partey or him coming Partey and then someone else comes in there so they can rotate. When if Onana plays and then we feel like we're missing something, you throw in the other player, absolutely fine. But in terms of depending on him from match day 1 to 38, no. And then another key factor for me, the last 4 or 5 years, the level he's been competing at is, you just need 1-0 or something at the bottom of the two. You just need to stay up. We are happy, we are contented with 1 win out of 5 as long as picked up a win. Yes, people sign players from Sheffield and all that. We signed Ramsdale for Sheffield. Yes, that can happen, but the levels he's been playing at is so worried. That's why I always say, if you're signing a player from Ajax, I'm like, yeah. If you're signing a player from Brighton, Man City, I'm like, yeah, these players are going to fit in well, ability-wise, and Man City have been playing at a high level. Yeah, but Onana, you wouldn't really be sure what you're expecting in terms of that.
Yeah, definitely. Now, for me, with Amadou Onana.
Oh, please, not Andre Onana, please. We want to compete for the league.
Definitely not Amadou Onana. With Amadou Onana, like Glenn has said, I kind of feel like, if you want to bring him in as entirely a squad player. You bring him in to replace El Neni, but a more active El Neni, and El Neni that will play more games as compared to what El Neni has come in. But do not bring him to replace any of your core pieces, at the moment. I wouldn't really do that. Actually, I wanted to ask you, in terms of profile, right? Arsenal looking for someone who's all round, a little bit all round, defensively, attacking. What do you think Mikel looks at? This guy Onana and impresses him? Physicality, ability to drive, or he just looks at, Mikel thinks he's an engineer, so he looks at him as like, I can make him what I want. Do you think it's the fact that he's young and probably coachable? That's one of the reasons why Mikel is really, really big on him, because we want him in January.
I think he's looking at the physicality first. Now, that midfield, if you have physicality and you can bully teams, perfect. Because I just said, from what I heard from the assistant and what I just written in the dressing room and all that, he wants Arsenal to suffocate teams.
Yeah.
And last season, when I was watching Arsenal, especially from January to May, I was sad. I was not happy. I was like, my goodness, look at what you're doing to Newcastle. Newcastle could not get the ball. I was like, I'm an Arsenal fan, but this is not good. You have to give other teams an opportunity. Yeah. Like, we strangled completely Sheffield, whatever you want to say about those teams and whatever. Burnley completely strangled them. Like, even Man City, 2 games, we keep them down to like 1 shot on target, and Man's even scared to try and attack us because what we can do to them. Even Liverpool, we had to score an own goal for Liverpool to get back into that game. It would have been 3-0. Like, we were suffocating teams completely. Teams could not get a chance. It's crazy. Like, when you're playing against us, when you have 1 shot on target, like 10 games in a row. It's crazy. It means like it's not just the defenders who are good with the goalkeeper, it's the overall team. So you want people to suffocate the other team. And that comes in a lot of ways. Energy, power, ball possession, control. I think it feels like the control is there with the players like Jorginho and Odegaard. We can keep the ball however you want. Part is not always available, but you can add a bit of more physicality in that midfield. Maybe even if Partey is there the last 30 minutes, if the team is kind of, outboarding you and all that, if you're playing against a team that has both Soucek and Bruno Guimaraes, you can throw in Onana and tell them, okay, in terms of ability, in terms of passing and on the ground football, you're better than you, but you're slightly better than us in terms of physicality. We're going to throw in Onana. And I think the team that is built, he has players like that. But if you see the signings he's been making, Gabriel, players like Havertz, those are big players. I think he also loves a bit of physicality. Yes,
well,
Declan Rice as well. You're right whenever you say he likes a player like a Jorginho has been made in terms of controlling midfield, but I think he also loves a bit of bullies and set pieces and big boys, because people call him Tony Pulis and all that, because I think he loves a bit of just bullying teams. So I think he feels like
one thing we cannot argue against is that he's slowly but surely making this Arsenal team bigger.
Better than we've ever been. We've never really had a team like this. Like even 10 years ago, Wilshere, Ramsey, players like small players.
I think with Arsene Wenger, it was different. I think Arsene Wenger preferred players to because he played a system where you would rather fit into smaller spaces than dominate and strangle team. It's
a weird one, because Arsene Wenger had a team of big boys for 9 years. Pala, Vieira, Gilberto Silva.
Yeah.
I don't know why it changed.
I don't know what I don't know what inspired the change, but definitely it didn't work out.
They said it was Fabregas. Fabregas came in and then he started playing like football, and then until Wenger was like, I can actually get more players like this and maybe change the way, because we can never get the team that we had in terms of the Invincibles. So maybe it fits into the physicality that he is trying to build in terms of Onana. You can completely now strangle teams completely now. Now, not 18 clean sheets, go for 26. How many goals do you concede? Less than 30, go for less than 20 this season. Yeah. Keep possession like 85% and all that physicality. But in terms of the technique and all that, maybe I don't think it's going to bring that, but maybe feels you already have enough of that. So I'd say the main thing is physicality. Can he make him better? Does he think he's going to make him better? I think he feels that way about his every single player. So I don't like saying that it has an ego or anything like that. Most Arsenal fans say, but I think he also really believes in himself. That's what I like about him.
He does believe in himself, but also he's got that bit of an ego. And of course, every successful person has got to have an ego. If you don't have an ego, you have nothing as a competitor.
I think if you ask him to bring back Emmanuel Frimpong and make him better, he'll be like, I can make him better. I'll make him better. Yeah. So it's an interesting one. So Onana is still young. He has a lot of time to develop. Maybe 180 pages. Maybe they feel like in terms of culture and all that, he fits in perfectly in terms of personality and all that. You don't know him as a person. He's probably a good person. I don't know. So I feel like physicality is the main thing. Not just bring something that we don't have. I think add to what we already have in terms of physicality.
I mean, guys, talk to me in the comment box below. What exactly are we looking at when it comes to Amadou Onana? Is it technical ability, physicality, Premier League proven? He's young. I mean, there's so many pluses, but in terms of being convinced, I'm not 100%. I mean,
something I can add, sorry, in terms of pace, there's a couple of times where Pat has been passed and then he doesn't have the pace to cover. I think he feels like Onana would have those big legs to cover for the last 30 minutes, maybe.
Yeah, his pace is there, and of course he's got the legs as well. So in that position, in midfield, Arsenal have also been linked to Frankie de Jong. The Athletic are saying that Arsenal know that this is not an easy deal to do, and they don't actually see it as one that they would actually complete right away. But he's a player Mikel Arteta is interested in. We like him, and we've scouted him for quite some time. Just like we've scouted Guimaraes, the likes of João Neves, João Palhinha, and a couple of others. So de Jong is an interesting profile, Glenn. He's not as physical, but in terms of technical ability, like you'd have to shield him 100%. You'd have to commit Declan Rice to the number 6, because with de Jong in the number 6, that is a story I've been sold, and I have not bought that. I have really, I'm not spending my money on a number 6 like de Jong. I prefer him in the 8, controls games, creates a lot of chances from deeper areas, and he's a lover of a through ball, right? Like. He's Dutch, we know. Total football, that's their thing. Would you take de Jong over Onana, number 1? And secondly, would you take de Jong in the Premier League, given his physicality and his lack of physicality, and also his price tag would be a little bit like above 70 million?
In football, they call him a register, as someone who can, play those passes from midfield, and just like I think Busquets was considered like Xavi. Let's use Xavi as an example, or Xabi Alonso as well. Xabi Alonso as well. Even Gerrard, when he played there, overall. Now, if you get Gerrard in today's game, you just destroy teams, that ability, man. So people see him as a register, someone who can play those deep lying positions, but I agree with you. I feel like he's more of a number 8, because in the number 6, unless you're going to have 95% of the possession and you know that other team is not going to get any chances at all, then you can play that. Because if you have, I'm imagining if you have a double pivot of de Jong and Jorginho, that other team is never going to get that ball. Yeah, they're never. But when they get it and they have Onana or someone like Bruno Guimaraes, they're going to run past you. They're going to bully you to death. So, what does he see in him in terms of? Yeah, also in terms of number 6, I don't really get sold to that. I agree with you. In Spain and England, it's very different. Spain, you can have those games against Osasuna and Real Valladolid and maybe a Rayo Vallecano, and they're going to have a lot of possession. They're going to dominate the game. And if you have other players working for you as well, all you need to do is just to pass the ball, fine. But in the Premier League, those teams do not let you. Like if you have de Jong up against Idrissi Gana Gueye, is going to try and just break his leg right away. So if you already have someone who's going to care about your midfield and protect the defense, and you have de Jong. Now I think de Jong would fit better for us in terms of the number 8, as you said, or maybe a pivot. If you were playing like the formation, you had to play like Flamini and Fabregas, or Cazorla and Coquelin. If you have Pat and de Jong there, or Rice and de Jong there, then that would be absolutely incredible. That would be insane. I think de Jong also used to play as a centre back when he was at Ajax with the Leeds. Yeah. He played as centre back sometimes. So basically, you have a ball creator at centre back, but you also have to have 3 defenders who are really good, because de Jong, maybe in terms of the cross comes in, he's not going to go and compete with Haaland. That would be a problem. So I think he's looking at those things in terms of technical wise and all that. He's very, very good. Would I take him ahead of Onana? Yeah, I would. I'll take him ahead of Onana. Now, Onana is younger, but de Jong, I think, has now done it. Like for Netherlands, for Ajax, for Barcelona, he's been linked to a lot of teams for a lot of years. Man United, Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool. There's a reason. My only worry would be the Premier League physicality. You'd really have to protect him. I don't think, I use Jorginho as an example, but I don't think you can have Jorginho and de Jong in your midfield together. I'd not be safe with that.
I mean, what we saw with Spain under Busquets was total domination. Don't lose the ball. Like you don't even lose it to your own teammate without sending to. That was what we saw against Spain, and it's one of the most boring teams that we've ever seen or will ever see. But they could keep the ball. So I think
that makes sense. Yeah.
With de Jong and Jorginho, and a player like Odegaard, you have a trio that can keep the ball for 90 minutes. Maybe not 90 minutes, obviously, but for 70 minutes out of 90 minutes. And that's what Mikel Arteta wants. He wants us to have the ball. Whenever he changes his eyes, he wants to see an Arsenal player on the ball. He doesn't want to see other players trying to win the ball. He doesn't want to see other players having a chance to win it. That is what De Jong would give us. The other thing that he would give us is something you've talked about when we're talking about world class. I think he's a player that has experience, pedigree, and he's a player that has won. So if you bring him into that midfield, I think clubs would be out there saying, "Oh, how do we deal with Rice? How do we deal with De Jong? And how do we deal with Odegaard?" Because all three of them are technically gifted, experienced players who played at the top level, and they've played since the age of 16. So they've got that pedigree, they've got that presence in midfield. The one thing I wanted to ask you with De Jong is, if he came in at Arsenal right now, obviously you still have Partey, you still have Jorginho, you still have Declan Rice, and I think Rice has really done well in the 8. Would you quickly swap out Rice in the 8 and just slot him in?
Oh, that's a tough one because I feel like both can play both of those positions. It depends on what Teta wants to do in that particular game. But
I mean, Partey is still starting as long as he's still at Arsenal.
Because the Young's thing is, as you say, the control, the vision, the passing, and those kind of things. I think he's better than Rice in terms of that. Rice, if you ask Rice does feel like he's a very good ball player. Like if you ask him, he'd tell you, like if you put me up against Iniesta, I would fancy myself. I feel like I have those qualities, but I've never really had a chance to use it because I play as a number 6 for England. I used to play as a number 6 for West Ham. And for Arsenal, we played them. He didn't play for us as a number 8 through the season. If he played for us throughout the season, he probably could have had 10 goals, 10 assists. If he was taking our he's only started taking our set pieces in February. If he was taking them from the beginning of the season plus playing that position, he could easily have had 12 goals and 10 assists. Yeah, so he is a player who can do that. But in terms of interceptions and tackles and things like that, I trust Declan Rice more to do that in front of the midfield. And he's done it for a lot of years. Yes, we'll be taking something away from the number 8 position, but if you're bringing De Jong to add that, then that's fine. So the only question I'd ask you to answer that question better is what is his goal return and stuff like that, De Jong?
Now, in terms of scoring goals, Frankie de Jong would score for you 2 goals in 7 seasons.
So now that would only work if you're playing a 4-2-3-1. If you have Rice and De Jong in midfield and then De Jong stays, Rice goes forward. Sometimes De Jong stays, Rice stays, De Jong goes forward. That could be it. But in terms of playing as a number 8, because our number 8, I think the last 2-3 seasons, our number 8 has been scoring goals from Havertz to Xhaka to Declan Rice. That's the position where you need to do a lot. Number 8, you basically have to defend and attack. Number 6, maybe we don't really need you to attack, just defend. Number 10, yes, in our team you have to defend, but some other teams you'll be like, number 10 just creates the chances and score the goals. You don't really have to come back and play. You just play the free role, the number 10. But number 8 is a balance of the two. You have to, be able to create a beat and then defend a beat. You have to do all that. That's why Rice fits there perfectly. He can defend, he can also attack. So if you're telling me De Jong is only going to score 2 goals, then we are talking about in a game where you just have to want to keep possession and don't lose the ball and stuff like that and take control of the ball. I don't want to say De Jong is a bench player, but it would work better for us if he's coming on for the last 30 minutes to just take control of the game. But if you're looking for someone to create chances and score goals, if you're telling me 2 goals every 7 seasons, I'm not sure. So then how it would work there is De Jong as a number 6 and Rice as number 8, and then you ask Rice to come and do a bit of defending as well.
Yeah, definitely. Now, it's a deal that's very, very difficult for Arsenal to do, like we've said. So talk to me in the comment box below. Again, Frankie de Jong, Amadou Onana. Frankie de Jong, highly technically gifted, but of course, in terms of that, goal return that we have seen in that position for the last 2 years, Xhaka scoring a couple of good goals before leaving, then Declan Rice coming in and obliterating his Xhaka's former record. That was actually kind of nice, and also obliterating his own record in terms of GA. That was also kind of unexpected. Another player that Mikel Arteta has sat down, raised his hand, and said, he is good. I can guarantee you that I can change him. I can guarantee you that I'm going to change his game, is Fabio Vieira. Fabio Vieira is one player that we all anticipated to play in that left 8 position. Doesn't work out very well yet, but when he played there against Crystal Palace, he caused a penalty. When he played there against Fulham, yes, it ended 2-2, but he almost won us that game. Fabio Vieira, how does he compare to the players that we are, that we are linked with in that position? And probably would you say keep him? Don't sign anyone there. Let's see how he does.
Not as a number 8. As I said, for me, a number 8, I'm looking for a player who can score and assist and also defend. I'm not sure how much defending Fabio is going to do for you.
He's off.
I remember when you signed him, there's a lot of people saying, oh my goodness, this guy looks so weak. We need to get him in the gym fast before he comes to us. But Vieira is a player I've given a chance. Before the start of last season, I was like, listen, I don't give one season is not enough. I know he might have taken time to adapt to the Premier League. Let's give him a second season. Let's see how he does. And I predicted him to be our surprise of the season. Within the first 6 games, I was like, I could be right here. Another game you forgot to mention is Man United came off the bench, played in that number 8 position, got an assist for Jesus, got an assist for Nketiah. That Fulham game, he changed it. I think that particular game against Fulham, Nketiah and Vieira came on and changed it for us. That he put us 2-1 up in that particular game. Again, we were struggling. And then against Everton, after the international break, away from home, he started, and people were actually saying, listen, we don't want Havertz anymore in that position. Play Fabio Vieira next to Odegaard. Funnily enough, for me, I've never really seen him as a player in that position. For me, I see him as a backup for Odegaard. For me, like when Odegaard is now, I know Odegaard does a lot, as we've talked about, in terms of the pressing and all that. It would take a lot. You still need to work on his pressing and all that.
Like in terms of physicality, I can understand. But in terms of the work ethic Martin Odegaard has, he doesn't stand a chance.
He doesn't stand a chance.
He would only stand a chance if Arsenal winning 2 goals, 3 goals to nil, and then you bring him in, right, in a game where you've already, kind of neutralized the opponent.
What about
insane? His work ethic is insane. His work rate is insane. His pressing is insane.
So you definitely in a game like against Liverpool or Man City, you're not going to play Fabio Vieira. But what about if some teams will pack the bus against you, so you'll need Odegaard? But what if you're up against Ipswich at home? They have 10 outfield players behind the ball. Would you tell Fabio Vieira, go and play that Odegaard role? You're going to rest Odegaard today. You're not going to have to do a lot of pressing. There's a team that's just going to clear the ball and all that. You're going to have Havertz and those guys doing the pressing for you. Would you trust Fabio Vieira to open up that game for you?
Yeah, I would. Definitely, I would. Especially if I've given him 2 big presences in Partey and Declan Rice to support him side by side.
And then Havertz up front, yeah.
Yeah, I know he can find that, brilliant pass. And he has a shot in him that you wouldn't really expect is a powerful one. If you can make them more accurate. I mean, we've seen one against Brentford and one against FC Barcelona in pre-season. So he's got that shot in him that I really like.
I think it's going to be used more, not as a number 8 though, more as maybe you're going to even see him more on the Saka side, because he's also played there. And
he's played there, yeah.
His performance has not been bad, but for me, what Saka gives you, we need that. Like, that's just destroying the fullback. I don't think Fabio Vieira will destroy the fullback. He will, cut back in and then keep the position and then give it to Odegaard and then put in a very deadly cross and all that and shoot the ball from outside the box. But in terms of running past the fullback time and time again and making the fullback tired or coming in for Saka when the fullback is tired, I think the fullback will be relieved to see Saka, going off and Vieira coming on in terms of pace and all that. But if Saka is going off and then I bring in Leao or Nico Williams, the fullback will be very wide. So Vieira, I expected him to be a surprise of the season, but he got injured. He got a red card. He missed a few games throughout the season. We never really used him at the end of the season, even when he was fit. So that is the only concern. But if Arteta wants him to stay, it's very intriguing to see where he's going to play, honestly. It's very intriguing to see where he's going to play and what he's going to do next season, because for 42 million pounds, that's a lot of money. I would like to ask after watching him, what did you see? But again, the season he had played for FC Porto, it was really good. Goals, assists, but when you come to England, it's totally different. Like, you ask Ten Hag as a manager and you come to England, totally different. And there's a lot of players you can ask coming from different countries and struggling in England and going back. Sancho, good example. You never know. Even Pepe could be a good example. He might go back and score 100 goals in France. But in England, the game is just different. You'll need to do a lot of things. You cannot carry a player in the Premier League. You cannot have 10 players. Even a Mbappe, Messi, Neymar team might struggle in the Premier League if not defending.
Yeah, of course. So Fabio Vieira is one that is intriguing to watch where that one ends, but Mikel Arteta would love to keep. Another player that is intriguing to see where he's going to play is the elevation of Ethan Nwaneri from wherever he's been to now playing at Arsenal and being part of that squad. Obviously, being part of the squad doesn't mean he cannot play with the under 23s. I think he can, help out there. But the sale of Emil Smith-Rowe might actually have Ethan Nwaneri as a replacement of ESR. The Athletic are saying that he's definitely going to be part of that squad. He's definitely going to be promoted to the first team squad next season. Mikel Arteta appreciates him and likes him. We fought very hard to give him a contract, and the player actually wants to see himself in a situation where you gave me a new deal, you convinced me to stay. Now prove to me that I am worth. Ethan Nwaneri, talent-wise, absolutely insane. But is first and foremost, is he the first one we're going to see Mikel Arteta really groom by himself as a youngster?
That's a really tough one. People usually say Arteta doesn't love the youngsters and stuff. It's a real tough. We gave him his debut at 15 or something against Brentford in that match.
And Simon Jordan was absolutely raging.
I remember. I was trolling Brentford on that day because Tony had tweeted about having a kick about the boys. I remember when he beat them on that day and I was like, the game was so easy. We threw in our 15-year-old to also have a kick about with the other boys. So in terms of... will Arteta give him? Will Arteta nurture him as the first one that Arteta has? Could be. I mean, he's not the one who gave the debuts to likes of Saka and those players, but they've grown under Arteta. Saka, Martinelli, even Smith Rowe, they've grown under Arteta. He's nurtured them, and Saka's taking it to the next level. Martinelli is taking it to the next level. Nwaneri, I think, is a good opportunity because we're not really seeing others. We thought it was going to be players like Walters. We thought it was going to be players like Balogun. We thought it was maybe going to be like a Biereth or players like that, but never really. Yeah, but it never really worked out to be those players. Even there's another one. I think it's there's another midfield. There was a long. There's Patino, and then there's another one. I might remember him as we talk about him. But yeah, I think Nwaneri is a perfect chance, and he gave him that debut. And even he doesn't really bring on youngsters, but I think when we were leading against West Ham, Nwaneri came on, so that shows you maybe he wants to develop him for next season. And obviously, he's seen players like Bob and Lewis getting chances in Man City. It's like, okay, maybe I have mine here. I can use in this number 10 role and stuff. Now, Nwaneri can play very well in the number 10 role. He can also play on the wings. Now, he's still very young, 17. He still has a lot of time to develop strength-wise and in terms of, composure and all that. But I would like to see him next season, come in 4 Premier League games, start a Carabao Cup game, come on in an FA Cup game, maybe get 10 minutes in a Champions League game. That would be great for his development. He's been in and around the camp. He's been training with the team. He's the one who's been traveling with the team alongside Dewberry and Walters. They've been traveling with the team, so he's been in and around there. So I think Arteta really feels like he has a technique, and Arteta loves technical players. So I feel like Nwaneri is a dream for him, and he feels like this could be my player at 17. I could develop him to be the next me. Who knows? He can be the next. So I think he's going to be the player that Arteta is going to give the chance next. Yes.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I think the talent is there. Would it be a kind of a downgrade from ESR to Ethan Nwaneri around the squad? I kind of feel like so. But I think Arsenal also think that ESR is becoming surplus to requirements, and moving him on would be a very, very good option. Now, the Cossy Arsenal podcast comes your way. Cossy Arsenal podcast. The Cossy and GLEN podcast comes your way on every single daily basis on the Cossy Arsenal podcast at exactly 8 p.m. premiering. Make sure you always catching it live. I mean, it's better to watch it as a premiere rather than a re-upload. So let's get those premieres and premiere numbers going up. And also, Glenn uploads it on his channel on every single daily basis. You can watch it at midday and during the day as you do your work. You can listen to us. You can give us your thoughts on both channels. Glenn, we call it a night as we still wait for the Benjamin Sesko decision. You reckon in 48 hours we will see something?
I think in the next 48 hours, the Thursday and the Friday, we're definitely going to see a breakthrough. Hopefully, it is for us. If they really, really want him, hopefully it is him that we get.
All right.
Lastly, it was Taylor Hart. The guy is called Kido Taylor Hart. Used to play in the under-23, and then there was another one who was sent to loan in Spain. That's the other guy that I've forgotten.
Yeah. So, guys, the Cossy and Glenn podcast comes to an end today. We will be back tomorrow. Have a good night.